Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's me coming back at you again with another vid. Well, I just got through watching the Kell Brook and Kevin Bizier fight. All I gotta say is one word: mismatch. Well, it was actually everyone's assumption, and it was actually a rational assumption to everyone's perspective. This was a total mismatch, and it makes you wonder how in the hell does a guy like Kevin Bizier, who, by the way, the same Bizier who lost to JoJo Dan, gets installed as the mandatory challenger by the IBF, and you kind of want to question the validity or the legitimacy of these rankings, especially from the IBF, because a guy like Kevin Bizier should have no business at all being in the ring with Kell Brook. I mean, no business at all. Yes, the man is 25 and two, with 25 KOs. He never been stopped before. Never been floored. But looking at the size difference and the skill gap, I mean, he just clearly was no match for Brook at all. I mean, where do I begin? I mean, this fight it lasted 2 rounds, but even from there, Brook had the fight from the start. I mean, he clearly dominated the first round before he knocked out Bizier in the second round. So this is what Brook had done. He used a multiplicity of skills. He used his angles. It was one point in the first round that he switched to southpaw so he could confuse Bizier. And I'll give credit when credit is due because Bizier actually was pressuring Brook. So Brook couldn't, was circling him and was trying to find a way to keep him off of him. But Bizier just kept coming forward with his high guard, whatnot. But he still just couldn't deal with the hand speed. He just couldn't negate it. And the thing about Bizier is that he just showed no head movement at all, none whatsoever. And that's why Brook was able to, outbox his head and take his, to outbox his head off, in the first and, of course, into the second round when he ultimately TKO'd him. But yeah, but the one thing I have to say too also is that Brook actually looked incredibly big in there. He looked like he was a goddamn super middleweight. I mean, he had to come in around maybe 165, maybe up to 166. He looked incredibly big. He's always been a big welterweight, but I mean the size differential was just really was the I say not surprising part was the most part of this fight that stood out to me is the size difference. Uh but we all know that Kell Brook has made it clear though after the Bizier fight. And not to really knock on Bizier, yeah, he was the mandatory challenger, but it is what it is. Now, Kell Brook has made it clear that after the Bizier fight, that he is going for the bigger names. No questions about it. He's going for it, and he's not going to stop until he gets some big names on his resume. And he means that. You can tell by his frustration too, and the way he got Bizier out of here. He just wanted to end this fight quickly because he just, he's frustrated. He's tired of being fed mandatories who he knows in his mind doesn't even stand a chance against him. And he's been ridiculed from left to right ever since winning that title against Sean Porter, especially the way people blamed him for the fallout negotiations with Brandon Rios, and also blamed him for the pullout of the Diego Chavez fight, which raised a lot of eyebrows. And I would have, obviously, if that fight would have went down, I'll pick Brook to win that fight, but Diego Chavez is no pushover, and believe me, he gives a lot of guys problems. Ask Keith Thurman, and credit to Thurman, he's the only guy that was able to stop him, knock him out. And Timothy Bradley, he got a draw with Bradley. Some people felt Bradley won that fight, but he did put some damage to Bradley, into Bradley, with all fairness. And he was beating Brandon Rios before the disqualification. But anyhow, yes. Now, I know that some people, the recent news is about had came about when Brook had came out like 2 days before the Bizier fight, stating that he wants the Gennady Golovkin fight, and he wants to fight at 157. I know a lot of guys, especially on my Kell Brook video where he called out Golovkin, a lot of people dismissed him, saying that he's just calling out his name just so he can make a name of himself. He doesn't really mean it. Well, here's the thing, and this is something I've just learned. Eddie Hearn had just reached out to Tom Loeffner, in case you guys didn't know. He actually reached out to Tom Loeffner and asked, and wants to set the fight up between Brook and Golovkin. at the 157 catchweight. And Loeffler responded by saying that, well, I don't think that's going to happen. We're not going to want that fight at 157. So he wants it at 160. So I'm not implying that the fight will happen, but what I'm implying is that Eddie Hearn and Kell Brook is really serious about it, and they've actually initiated and reached out to Loeffler and his team and said that they want to make this fight happen. How can we get it done? Okay. And Loeffler himself haven't even dismissed the Kell Brook fight. So that goes to show that both parties are interested. But, you know, we have to see what the outcomes of the negotiations look like. Now, this does not mean they are going to negotiate, but it is a step to the right direction when it comes to the negotiation process. So it is highly possible that Kell Brook's next opponent could be Gennady Golovkin. You know, we all know that Golovkin does have a mandatory defense against Dominic Wade. So, yeah. Now, again, and another thing too, this came about. Most people who are very objected to this idea, to this narrative that a welterweight going up and fights a middleweight is unprecedented. Well, let me tell you something about this. First of all, there was never been a junior middleweight class. It has a long history. Okay. At a time where boxing, you know, has really came about and it rose to prominence to the highest degree, welterweights has always fought middleweights historically. So if you were a welterweight and you want to move up a weight, the only other weight class that you could move up to was the middleweights. So we've had guys like Emil Griffith fight. I think it was Jose Nonopoulos. I have to go check and see. He moved up in weight to fight him at middleweight. Then you had, you know, of course, Hearns move up to fight Hagler. Duran moved up to fight Hagler. You had Sugar Ray Leonard coming out of a 3-year retirement to go up from 147 to 160 to fight Marvin Hagler. We've had Ricardo Mayorga move up from 147 to 160 to fight Felix Trinidad. You had Corey Spinks moved up to 147 to 160 to fight Jermaine Taylor for the title. But all fairness, Corey Spinks did take a couple of fights as light middleweight before he took the 160 fight with Jermaine Taylor. But the point of the matter is that welterweights have fought middleweights in the past. So to dismiss the idea of a Kell Brook and Gennady Golovkin fight to be unrealistic, I beg to differ, because I think both Hearn and Brook is very serious about it, and they want the fight done because Brook wants a big name. Now, that does not mean he could beat Gennady Golovkin. No. I think Golovkin is going to win that fight. But I just don't think it's going to be easy because Kell Brook, if you've seen the Bizier fight, displayed a multiple skills. He had a quick jab, a very good hand speed, used angles, and it has good power. So this is going to be a tough fight. That doesn't mean his power is going to carry up to middleweight. But what I'm saying is this is not going to be an easy fight for Golovkin. So if it does get made, this is just hypothetical. But let me know what you think. Care to comment, share, subscribe, signing off. Peace.